I always imagined that when I proposed to my fiancée, it would be one of the most memorable and beautiful moments of our lives. I spent months planning the perfect moment. She's a huge fan of stargazing, so I rented a secluded cabin up in the mountains with a clear view of the sky. I coordinated with the staff to prepare a candlelit dinner under the stars and even timed it during a meteor shower she had been looking forward to for years. Everything was planned down to the second, including hiding a tiny Bluetooth speaker nearby to play her favorite instrumental song when I got down on one knee. The only thing I didn't anticipate was my younger brother, Adam. Adam is complicated. He's always been a bit of a wild card, funny, charming, and the life of the party, but also deeply immature and unpredictable. He's the kind of guy who thinks everything is a joke, and more often than not, he's the center of attention whether you want him to be or not. My parents, especially my mom, have always enabled this behavior. "That's just Adam," they'd say, like it was a personality quirk rather than a complete disregard for boundaries. I hadn't even invited Adam on the trip. It was supposed to be just me and my girlfriend, Lena. But 2 days before we left, my mom called and begged me to let Adam tag along. He was going through a rough patch after breaking up with his girlfriend for the 3rd time that month, and she thought a change of scenery would be good for him. I hesitated, but finally gave in, setting some firm ground rules. He'd stay in a separate cabin, give us space, and most importantly, he wouldn't interfere with my plans. He agreed, or at least he pretended to. The first 2 days were fine. He was a little too talkative during dinner and a bit annoying during a hike, but nothing too serious. I'd scheduled the proposal for the 3rd night. Everything was ready. Lena and I had just finished our meal. The stars were out, and I could feel the ring box pressing against my chest through my jacket. The music began to play, subtle and soft. I took Lena's hand and told her how much she meant to me. Her eyes were already welling up, and I could feel the emotion in the air, thick like honey. Then Adam crashed through the tree line, stumbling and yelling, "Bro, you're not going to believe this. I just saw a bear." Lena gasped and jumped to her feet, completely startled. I tried to wave him off, mouthing, "Not now." But Adam barreled forward, still laughing, clearly drunk. He clapped me on the back, nearly knocking me over, and said, "Wait, are you proposing right now?" "Oh, my bad." Then he whipped out his phone and tried to start recording us. Lena looked confused. The moment had completely shattered. The music was still playing, but it now felt like a cruel joke. I stood there, ring in hand, humiliated, while Adam tried to turn it into a viral moment. "Dude, do it again. I'll get it from a better angle," he said, laughing. I snapped. I told him to leave, right then and there. Lena was visibly upset, not just because the proposal had been ruined, but because of the sheer awkwardness Adam had introduced into such an intimate moment. Adam didn't get it. He kept saying, "Relax, it's just a joke," and "You can still propose. Come on, I'll shut up." But the damage was done. That moment, the one I had spent months crafting, was gone. Lena tried to be supportive. She said it wasn't a big deal and that the proposal wasn't what mattered. What mattered was us. I appreciated that. I really did, but I couldn't let it go. The resentment began festering immediately. When we got back, I tried to move on. I proposed again a few weeks later, this time privately, just the 2 of us in our apartment. She said yes, and we were happy. For a time. But something in me was still boiling. I couldn't shake the feeling that Adam had stolen something irreplaceable from me. It wasn't just the ruined proposal. It was a lifelong pattern of him, making everything about himself. Fast forward to our wedding planning. Lena and I decided to keep things relatively small, around 80 guests, close friends, and family only. I wanted everything to go perfectly, and for once in my life I wanted Adam to stay on the sidelines. I didn't ask him to be my best man. That honor went to my childhood friend Ben, someone who had never once sabotaged anything important in my life. Adam was pissed. "I'm your brother," he said. You're really choosing Ben over me?" I reminded him about the proposal and all the other times he had made things about himself. He rolled his eyes and said, "You're still hung up on that? Jesus, man, let it go." I told him he could come to the wedding, but only as a guest. No speeches, no special role, and he needed to be on his best behavior. He promised he would. But deep down, I didn't trust him. A week before the wedding, Adam posted something on Instagram that made my blood boil. It was a throwback video, the very same one he had tried to record the night he ruined my proposal. The caption read, "When your bro proposes but forgets I'm the main character." It got dozens of likes and comments, most from his friends laughing and tagging each other. I confronted him immediately. He laughed it off again. "It's just a joke, man. Don't be so sensitive." That was the last straw. I told him he was no longer invited to the wedding. He thought I was bluffing. He showed up anyway. I remember the exact moment I saw him walk into the venue. My stomach dropped. Lena and I were just finishing up a quick set of couple portraits near the front of the reception hall. We were laughing about something small, something silly, and for a moment I was actually relaxed. Then I turned toward the door, and there he was. Adam, wearing sunglasses indoors like he thought he was a celebrity, grinning like nothing had ever happened. At first, I thought maybe he was just dropping, by to make a point, that he'd realize how serious I was and leave. But no, he waltzed in like he owned the place, hugged my aunt, clapped my cousin on the shoulder, and the worst part, no one stopped him. He'd dressed formally, acted casual, and everyone assumed he was invited. Some even seemed happy to see him. I pulled Ben aside immediately. I told him to keep Adam away from the mic, away from the DJ, and for God's sake, away from the open bar. Ben nodded and gave me that look that said, "I've got you." But I knew Adam. I knew how he worked. Charm, followed by chaos. I tried to ignore it. It was my wedding day. I didn't want to cause a scene. Lena and I made our grand entrance to applause. The reception hall was glowing. We were married. I should have been the happiest man in the world, but my eyes kept drifting to him. Every time someone laughed too loud or someone knocked over a glass, I turned expecting it to be him. During dinner, I noticed Adam talking animatedly to the DJ. I excused myself from the table and rushed over. I didn't yell. I didn't lose it. I just told the DJ, politely but firmly, that only people on a specific list were allowed to speak or request songs. The DJ looked caught in the middle, but he nodded. Adam, ever the performer, laughed it off and said, "Just trying to spice things up, bro. Your playlist is kind of sleepy." I gave him a look, the kind that should have been enough, but it wasn't. It never was. Later that evening, speeches began. Lena's sister gave a heartfelt toast that brought tears to people's eyes. Ben kept it short, funny, respectful, the kind of best man speech you hope for. And then, right as we were wrapping up, the DJ's mic popped back on, and Adam's voice filled the room. "Hope no one minds if I say a few words," he said, standing by the DJ booth with a glass of champagne in hand. My heart stopped. I saw Ben rushing toward him, but Adam had already started. "You all know me. I'm the groom's younger, hotter, smarter, and clearly funnier brother." Laughter rippled through the crowd, mostly from people who didn't know better. I stood up. Lena reached for my hand, trying to calm me. "Let's see what he says," she whispered. But I already knew where this was going. Adam launched into a speech that was really just a series of stories, mostly about himself. He told the story of the proposal night, wildly exaggerated and twisted to make me sound uptight and him the lovable rogue. He mimicked my voice. He acted out me kneeling and stumbling. He said something like, "You should have seen his face, like a deer in headlights. I thought he was choking on the ring." I looked around. A few people were laughing, awkwardly. Some looked uncomfortable. My parents were smiling like it was harmless. Lena looked down at her plate. That was it. I walked up to the mic, took it from his hand, and told him, in front of everyone, that he needed to leave. The room went dead silent. Adam tried to play it off, said, "Dude, seriously, it's just a speech." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cause a scene. I just said, "I asked you not to come. You did. I asked you not to speak. You did. You've made this about you. Again. I'm done." For the first time in a long time, Adam looked genuinely stunned. He opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. He looked around, expecting someone, anyone, to back him up. No one did. Ben stepped forward. So did one of the venue staff. Adam raised his hands like he was surrendering, made a little bow, and walked out with a smirk, like he still didn't believe it was real. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, things resumed. People clinked glasses. The music picked up again, but the air had changed. Later that night, my mom pulled me aside, furious. "He's your brother," she hissed. "You embarrassed him in front of everyone." I told her, simply, "He embarrassed himself." She didn't get it. She probably never will. Lena tried to comfort me, but I could tell the moment had tainted the day for her too. We still danced, still smiled for photos, still cut the cake, but a kind of fog had settled over it all. We tried to push through it, but the weight of everything Adam had done, the proposal, the speech, the complete disregard for boundaries, it was like a rock in my chest that I couldn't shake, and the fallout was just beginning. The next morning felt like waking up after a storm. Our hotel suite was quiet, and Lena lay beside me scrolling silently through her phone. I could tell she was checking the photos, trying to find the good ones, the happy ones, hoping the images could outweigh the memories. I wanted to believe that too, but I was already thinking about the damage. Texts started coming in before breakfast. Some were from friends who said they were sorry things got awkward and that they still had an amazing time. Others were more cautious, polite messages that hinted at the tension but avoided mentioning Adam by name. Then came the family group, chat. It blew up around 10 a.m. My mom, of course, had already spoken to Adam. According to her, he was devastated and humiliated beyond belief. She wrote that he hadn't meant to ruin anything, that he just wanted to feel included, and that I had overreacted by kicking him out in front of everyone. My dad added a single message: "We need to talk." I didn't respond. I didn't trust myself, too. Later that afternoon, Lena and I sat down at a cafe not far from the hotel. We both knew we needed to talk about it, to process it, but neither of us knew where to begin. Eventually, Lena broke the silence. "Do you regret it?" she asked. Her tone was careful, not accusatory, just unsure. "Regret what?" I said. "Kicking him out. The way you did it." I stared at my coffee. I thought about how my voice had sounded in that moment. Calm, yes, but cold. I thought about how Adam had looked, genuinely caught off guard, and how the room had felt like it had stopped breathing. "No," I said finally. "I regret that he made it necessary." She nodded slowly. "I just didn't think your mom would take it so hard." "My mom always takes his side," I said. "I've lived with it my whole life." I could tell Lena was still thinking about it. Not judging me, but grappling with the weight of it all. We'd talked before about family, about boundaries, about how hard it was to navigate when blood kept pulling you back toward people who only hurt you. She knew this wasn't just about a wedding speech. It was a line in the sand, one that had been building for years. That evening, we went home. Our apartment looked exactly the same, but it felt different. The wedding had passed. The honeymoon was weeks away. The real world was already creeping back in. When I turned my phone on again, I saw Adam had texted me. It was short. "Didn't mean to mess things up, but you seriously embarrassed me, man." No apology, no understanding. Just that same tone he always used, like I was being too sensitive, like I should have just laughed it off like always. I didn't respond. The next few days were a blur of returning rentals, sending thank yous, and avoiding calls from my mother. I heard through my cousin that Adam had gone back home and was laying low, whatever that meant. Then, a week later, the video appeared. Someone had recorded the moment I took the mic from Adam and told him to leave. I have no idea who. Maybe someone he asked to record in advance, or maybe just a guest who thought it was dramatic enough to post. Either way, it was on TikTok. The caption was something like, "Groom kicks brother out during wedding speech." It had over 200,000 views in 2 days. The comments were split. Some people said I was the hero, standing up to a narcissistic sibling who clearly couldn't take a back seat for one day. Others called me heartless, saying family should be forgiven and that it was just a speech. One comment read, "Typical groomzilla behavior. Bet the marriage won't last. I shouldn't have read them, but I did." Lena saw it too. She showed me without saying anything, just handed me the phone one evening while we were watching TV. I stared at it, at the shaky video of myself holding the mic, at the expression on Adam's face, at the awkward laughter, the cut to silence. It was like watching myself from outside my body. I deleted my TikTok account the next morning. I just couldn't do it anymore. But it didn't stop there. Adam messaged me again, this time longer. "Look, I'm sorry if I crossed a line. That wasn't my intention. But I think you need to own the fact that you made a scene too. You didn't have to humiliate me. I get that you're mad, but come on. We're family." That word, family, it's used like a weapon in situations like this, as if family gives someone the right to repeatedly disrespect you and you're supposed to just eat it, forgive it, laugh it off. I talked to Lena about it. I told her I didn't think I could move forward with my family if they were going to keep defending Adam. She held my hand and said, "Then maybe you don't." That was the moment I realized we weren't just married in name now. We were a team, and teams make decisions, even hard ones, together. I called my parents the next day. My dad picked up. We hadn't spoken since the wedding. The line was quiet for a moment before my dad finally said, "I was wondering when you'd call." His voice wasn't angry, just tired, like he'd been carrying something around all week and didn't know where to put it. I told him I wasn't calling to argue. I just needed to explain things. One final time. I told him that Adam had crossed too many lines for too many years, that it wasn't just the wedding speech or the proposal. It was everything. Every moment he turned into a joke at my expense. Every time he demanded attention when I just wanted peace. Every time he got away with it while I was told to let it go. And I couldn't let it go anymore. My dad listened. He didn't interrupt. When I was done, there was another long pause. Then he sighed and said, "Your mother doesn't see it that way. You know how she is with Adam." "I do," I said. "But it's not my job to keep pretending it's okay just to keep the peace." "I get it," he said finally. "I really do. I just wish it hadn't come to this." I didn't say what I was really thinking. It came to this a long time ago. You just never wanted to see it. After that call, something shifted. Not with my mom. She didn't speak to me for over a month. But with my dad. He sent a message every so often, usually short, checking in on me and Lena. He didn't bring up Adam, and I didn't ask. Adam, meanwhile, stayed quiet. No more texts, no calls, no apologies. I heard from a cousin that he was telling people I had overreacted and that the whole thing was blown out of proportion. Of course, that was his version of accountability, pretending he'd done nothing wrong and hoping time would erase the memory. But it didn't. It stayed with me. It stayed with Lena, too. In the months that followed, we focused on us. We took our honeymoon. To Greece, walked along white stone streets with no signal and no social media. We watched the sunset from rooftops and talked about the kind of future we wanted to build together. And in those moments, with no distractions, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. When we came back, we set boundaries. Real ones. We didn't go to every family dinner. We skipped a few birthdays. We didn't feel guilty for not inviting people into our home if they couldn't respect it. My mother didn't take it well. She sent guilt-laced messages and told relatives we were keeping the family apart. But I didn't respond to manipulation anymore. I had spent enough of my life trying to be the peacekeeper in a war I never started. Adam stayed out of our lives. Whether by choice or out of pride, I don't know. Part of me thinks he assumed I'd eventually reach out and patch things up, like always. But that call never came. The funny thing is, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel bad about it. I missed the idea of a brother more than I missed the actual person. I'd always imagined we'd grow up and mature and laugh about the old days one day. But reality is not always so generous. Some people don't change. Some people don't want to. And you have to decide whether you want to keep inviting that chaos into your life just because you share DNA. One afternoon, months after the wedding, Lena and I were going through the photos again. We picked out our favorites and had a few framed around the apartment. In those pictures, we're smiling, genuinely smiling. The lighting is warm and our friends are around us, and for that moment, you'd never know what had happened in the background. That's the version I like to remember, not because I'm pretending the rest didn't happen, but because we earned that happiness. We fought for it. We protected it. A few weeks ago, I got an invitation to Adam's birthday party through a mutual friend. Apparently, he was throwing a big bash, another performance, another spotlight. I didn't even hesitate. I declined, politely, and went back to my life. A quiet weekend with Lena. Home-cooked dinner, no drama, no mic-grabbing, speech-stealing, ego-driven chaos. Just peace. And I think, finally, that's all I ever really wanted.